a private plane complete with a shower, a particularly pricey bathroom chandelier, handcuffs that once belonged to the world's most famous magician. Here are some of the most expensive things we've ever seen on MTV's Cribs. Back in the year 2000, Master P was one of the biggest rappers in the world. Along with Sean Diddy Combs and Brian Birdman Williams, he was part of a new breed of hip-hop acts that were just as famous for their business moves as they were for their music.
How you doing? It's Master P, and welcome to my crib, you heard me? Come on in.
Master P kept that image going for his MTV Cribs episode that year by showing off the gold ceilings of his Louisiana living room. And it wasn't just paint. Friends, this was 14-karat gold. P's house also featured his record label logo on the floor in 24-karat gold. But with a little age and a lot of reflection, the rapper had some serious regrets. He told Men's Health in 2021 that the gold ceilings were one of his worst investments ever, adding,
"That's a bad investment, because when you move, you'll never get the money out of that house."
No word on how much P paid for those glimmering ceilings, but it looks like he'll have to own that house forever. It wasn't just the bling that made MTV Cribs such a hit. It was the peek behind the gilded curtain that gave fans a tiny glimpse into a star's life. Like Melissa Joan Hart, who mentioned that she's a huge fan of Pablo Picasso, as the camera casually panned to one of his works.
So I'm obsessed with Picasso. I have tons of Picasso stuff.
Hart didn't say whether it's an original piece, but it certainly looked like one. So, assuming it is an original Picasso, there's a wide range when it comes to the value. Art News noted that one piece went for $63 million in a 2016 auction, but Hart's piece looked like a sketchbook page, and according to Art Radar, those bring in an average of nearly $100,000. In 2014, the actor tweeted that she actually owns several of Picasso's drawings, so who knows how much pricey art she has displayed on her walls. If you haven't noticed, most Cribs episodes feature the same flow. Front doors get flung open by a young famous person, their cool friends are seen lounging on the living room couch, and then the star breaks down how much each and every expensive-looking item means to them. But John Travolta went another route for his tour, showing off his Boeing 707, which he owns and pilots. Travolta says the plane initially held 180 people, but after renovations, there was room for just 34. That's because there's a luxury bedroom and a shower on board.
I have to pinch myself to believe it, because it's not just having the plane that's cool, it's having the plane that you grow up with, that you loved.
So if you happen to be in the market for your own Boeing aircraft, Aero Corner notes that you can own one for a cool $10.5 million. It's unclear how much Travolta paid, but taking a hot shower just before you hit your destination? Priceless. 50 Cent made his Cribs debut in 2007, and by that time, he was already a global rap star. 4 years earlier, he bought what was formerly Mike Tyson's 56-room Connecticut mansion for $4.1 million. And doing his best Hugh Hefner impression, 50 started his tour in a bathrobe and headed to the dining area, where he claimed he's never eaten. But even if the room was never used, it featured a dazzling lighting situation.
This is Baccarat Crystal. That's $80,000 right there. I could have bought a BMW instead of that.
For those not familiar with Baccarat Crystal, all you need to know is that it's French and it's fabulous. And any light fixture that costs the same as a luxury vehicle is worth a special mention. And of course, nearly six figures. Sometimes a celebrity's digs are so breathtaking, no luxury item could ever outshine the crib itself. That was the case when billionaire businessman Richard Branson welcomed the MTV cameras inside one of his homes in 2005. It was a place called Necker Island, located in the British Virgin Islands. And yeah, he owns the entire flippin' island.
Necker is home, and therefore there's something particularly special about this little jewel.
According to CNN, Branson paid $180,000 for it back in 1979, and 5 years later, he made it available for anyone to rent. As Business Insider noted, you can have the whole island to yourself for just $42,000 a night. But back to Cribs, Branson reportedly shelled out $80 million to spruce up the island once he owned it. There's a gorgeous beach, a stunning rock pool, and lots of places to lounge. And which of his friends happened to be just chilling on the lanai? None other than Mariah Carey, of course. You know, casually enjoying that $1 million ocean breeze and a whole bunch of wine.
Did you show the bathroom yet? Because the bathroom was a big hit on my Cribs.
And speaking of Mimi, there's no doubt about it, Mariah Carey's Cribs episode is almost as popular as her many chart-topping hits. While showing off her New York City penthouse in 2005, she also served up multiple wardrobe changes, took a dip in her bathtub, and worked out in 4-inch stilettos. Viewers also got a glimpse of several presumably pricey items, and Carey's massive shoe closet seemed to generate the most talk. While Carey didn't get into every single one of the designer brands, she did mention one, Diego Dolcini. Years later, Vogue reported that Carey owned all sorts of heels, from Manolo Blahnik, Christian Louboutin, and Giuseppe Zanotti. Like we already could have guessed, she's not exactly throwing around chump change. As she said on the show,
There was a time in my life when I only had one pair of shoes. I saved those shoes, but I can't find them now.
she showed off her lingerie closet as well, which was the size of another apartment. And just like her massive shoe collection, Carey didn't name names when it came to designers. Still, while showing off some of her favorite pieces on Oprah in 2008, she talked about collecting lingerie as opposed to just buying it casually.
Oh, I'm always looking for a nice little number.
Judging by the rest of Carey's prized and pricey possessions, we're pretty sure she's not messing around with buy one, get one Victoria's Secret. If you do a little Googling, you'd easily find that an unopened bottle of 1929 Chateau Latour runs you about $4,360. But how much would a whole barrel of wine from that same year set you back? If only that question came up during Carmelo and Lala Anthony's Cribs episode. When the two showed off their Denver mansion, they took the cameras into their wine cellar, where Carmelo pulled out a bottle of red from his floor-to-ceiling stash. Lala explained,
Mello is the wine collector of the family.
Yeah, big bottles over here.
but she says she hadn't previously known about the barrel of finely aged 1929 wine that they owned. Apparently, her now ex-husband informed her of the purchase just a year before filming. Carmelo then noted,
Very expensive. Worth a lot of bucks. Big bucks.
Exactly.
but years later, Carmelo's love of wine has only gotten richer with age. He launched a podcast called What's in Your Glass. He appeared on the cover of Wine Spectator, and he has made moves to get into the world of winemaking. Still kind of wondering if Lala got the wine barrel in the divorce settlement. For basketball fans, owning a pair of sneakers formerly worn by Michael Jordan would be a colossal-sized deal, and a drummer might only dream of owning a drum kit that once belonged to someone like, say, The Who's Keith Moon. Well, magician Criss Angel sure knows what that level of fandom feels like. And on his Cribs episode, he showed off a pair of handcuffs that were owned and worn by Harry Houdini, arguably the most famous escape artist and magician of all time. Angel also revealed that he owned one of Houdini's keys and a door knocker, all of which was displayed in his 22,000 square foot Las Vegas home. As for the value of these magical props, auction site Nate D. Sanders notes that one pair of Houdini cuffs once went for more than $25,000. As for Angel's cuffs, they might have sold for a much higher price. Throw in the key and the door knocker, and the cash value goes up from there. It probably goes without saying, but Houdini's legacy has made an enormous impact on Angel, as the illusionist told People in 2020.
Well, it's like 80 plus years since his death in 1926 on Halloween, and he's still synonymous with magic, and that's because he left such an impression on people.
Noting that the iconic magician captured fans' imaginations everywhere with his charisma, as well as his death-defying stunts, Angel admitted,
I try to remain relevant as Houdini did for his day and age.
As CNN reported, an original Andy Warhol piece once sold for a whopping $105.4 million in 2013. And although the late artist's work varies in price, it's likely that Blink-182's Travis Barker paid a mint for his prized piece. In a 2008 episode of Cribs, Barker showed off a Warhol displayed on the wall of his Corona, California home.
He was a freak, and he just had a different approach to art, which obviously everyone can respect.
Apparently, when it comes to Warhol's Dracula, there are only 30 existing proofs in the entire world. But it appears as if Barker had scooped up more than just one Warhol. In July 2021, Us Weekly reported that his ex-wife Shayna Moakler was hoping to sell one that Barker had gifted her. A source told the outlet that she wanted to get rid of everything that reminded her of their 4-year marriage, and her Warhol painting happened to fall under that umbrella. The tipster noted that she also hoped to auction off both her engagement ring and wedding ring because, well, those were also memories. The former couple were married from 2004 to 2008 and have 2 children together. We're taking it all the way back to 2002 for the year Ludacris appeared on MTV Cribs. The radio personality turned rapper already had 2 major label records under his belt at that point, and he sure seemed to be doing well for himself. By Cribs standards, Luda's more modest house didn't exactly measure up to some of the castle-like palaces that had been hyped on other episodes. But one particular item definitely stood out, a Russian sable fur blanket. He joked,
"This right here is genuine German Shepherd, y'all. I'm just playing, it's called Russian Sable, man. It's more priceless than me."
Luxury outlet Master Furrier offered a more specific number for such an item, which might run a fur blanket fan roughly $64,521. Of course, we'd have to consider every installment of Cribs and do some figuring to be sure, but it's quite possible that Ludacris owned the most expensive blanket in the show's history. After the episode aired, the rapper leveraged his success in the music industry and became even more rich and famous thanks to scene-stealing appearances in the Fast and Furious franchise and Crash. Considering that, as of 2022, Ludacris is worth an estimated $30 million. He could buy Russian sable blankets to keep himself and all of his millions of fans warm and toasty. For life. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebrities are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.